I wish I had a theme song like My Drunk Kitchen so I could start off by going boo boop. Hi, welcome back to Transformers Review Offs. Today I'll be talking about Prime Soundwave and Prime Starscream. Soundwave in the show is so very awesome because he says nothing, but we've actually gotten to see him kick some butt, and it's like, oh man, he's so cool. He fucking ejected RC off of the Decepticon ship by opening up a ground bridge right the fuck in front of himself. It's like, you don't fuck with this guy. He comes with the best accessory ever, Laserbeak, which is tiny and doesn't really look like Laserbeak, but it doesn't matter because you can stick him on the peg on the outside of Soundwave's wrist and have him being all Falconer, which is awesome. Soundwave, of course, he is made out of spikes and skinny. His arms are extremely thin. This is the most egregious example of door panel arm, except that they're not door panels, they're wings. He's really spiky. He's a little bit hard to stand up to. He's got these adjustable heels down here, but they sort of mostly just adjust back, so yeah, it's hard. One thing he does have, though, is a significant lack of kibble. It's basically just this stuff hanging off here, because the wings and everything look fine the way they are. He's very creepy. He's slightly hunched over. He can pick his head up a little bit, but it's on a spring, and he looks really good. But then we come to Starscream. And I like what they did to Starscream in Prime, because even though it doesn't sound like the original, I can believe that it's Starscream. I really like his character design. This toy is really amazing. I'm very impressed with it. This is actually a first edition Starscream, so it might be a little unfair to compare him to Soundwave. But Soundwave didn't get a first edition, so it doesn't matter. He's extremely posable. Look at the pose that I've got him in now. Let's see if I can actually get him. He's bent over slightly. His fingers go like this, which is infinitely posable. I mean, you know, he can be beckoning, he can be doing this, which is, you know, pleased to meet you. You can spread his arms and just, he's really expressive, and I just love that. I mean, he's got these little soft gray plastic missiles that go on his arms. He has a little bit more kibble in the back. He's got like the jet engine. He's got an extra pair of wings, which is the tail. He's got some nose cone butt going on, but it's not too bad. He does have high heels. Strangely, he has these side supports, which I'm not really sure why that is, but I've seen that on a couple of other models. I've seen the Voyager, which is almost twice this size. It's huge, but I actually like this one better, so I'm going to give that to Starscream. Now, unfortunately, it's like, yeah, Starscream's expressive and Soundwave is not, and Soundwave is good at not being expressive, so it's a little unfair, but whatever. I like Starscream. Transformation. If you didn't notice it before, Laserbeak does in fact store on Soundwave's chest, which is what you're supposed to do when he's in vehicle mode. The wings take and go up like that, and it's nice because it gives him a little bit of extra bulk, because he's not a bulky guy at all. His transformation does include a dramatic head reveal. It's funny because you can take and close this up and it looks like he's still got a head. He comes from France or something. Boop! Like that. I love that. If it's going to be called a dramatic head reveal, that's dramatic. I actually liked it a little bit more than Ratchet's because it's harder to set off accidentally. He doesn't actually have a lot going on for him with transformation. You take and move his arm off of its socket. You take and move his arms down and you connect them into his thighs, and that's about it. Feet fold up, the heels fold down, the kibble folds onto them, and you snap it together, and Bob's your uncle. He's got a lot of connection points in the legs, which is good because there's a lot of very thin parts here. That said, it's sometimes hard to get them together. One thing I do notice is that I have a tendency not to be able to get this to line up properly, and I'm not really sure why, and I'm not certain what I can do about it. Starscream is a little more involved, especially where his kibble is concerned, because you take and unfold the fuck out of this thing. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Oh yeah, and I'm not done yet. That is his kibble. That's ridiculous. Interestingly, his crest actually folds down, the one on his forehead. The one thing that bothers me about Starscream is his upper arm is on a very tiny joint there that you have to slide, and there's a very small metal dowel in there, and it's like, oh, I'm afraid that pin is going to snap one of these days. Either that, or I'm going to like pull too hard on it and snap the plastic it's attached to. That would be even worse. And of course, like every planeformer ever, he has egregious legs because they can't figure out what to do with legs on an airplane. I am tired of all these motherfucking legs on this motherfucking plane. There, I said it. He fits together really nicely. And done. Alright, so Starscream's gonna take this one. Vehicle mode. Soundwave is a stealth drone, which is awesome. I love this, and I had this idea first, for the record. It's only very recently in Season 2 that we've actually gotten to see him transform, I think, and that was very cool when it happened. He does have one port up here for weapons. You can plug Laserbeak into it, because he's got a special, like, triangular peg that does fit into these ports, but that's meant to sit underneath on his chest. When I first got this, or actually when my friend got it, we couldn't figure out exactly how his wings were supposed to go. We thought that you were supposed to leave his arms out, which, if you do that, gives him this god-awful, enormous wingspan, and it's kind of awesome, but then he also has the egregious fingers on the end. That's fun, though. Of course, if you fold them under the way you're supposed to, then it has spikes coming off the end, and I'm not really sure why, but I actually really like that. Starscream, on the other hand, is just kind of a gray jet, and he looks nice, but he's not that interesting, so I'm actually going to give Soundwave the point for this. His missiles fit underneath the wings. He actually doesn't have any other weapon ports, interestingly enough, but that's probably because he was first edition. But Starscream still wins it 2-1. Fantastic toy, I absolutely... Starscream may actually be my favorite out of the series. And I don't say that often. I mean, I've never really gone out and gone, oh man, I need to get a Starscream, except for that little RTS Starscream, but that was because I was just really impressed by how complicated a tiny toy could be like that. So, well, that's it for this time. Stay tuned next time when we're going to do something that isn't Prime.